Sawete Womnes. Sawete Womnes. Welcome to Certamen Tonight for the month of March. My name is Jenny Luongo. I'm NJCL Certamen Chair, and we're so excited to have you with us. Tonight we're going to be talking about vocabulary, derivatives, how to buzz well, all sorts of topics. I'm joined by my co-host, my very able co-host, who I will let introduce himself.
Hey, I'm Ben. That's it.
That's it. As you guys know, Ben Van Gelder is always here with us, and we're so excited about that. And also joined by two other NJCL Certamen moderators tonight. We have Aspen Bombardo here with us, who has just graduated, recent graduate of BU, and is planning to go to audiology school, and just told us accepted to everyone that she applied to. So very exciting news. As well as Henry Schott, who has a master's degree from Washington University in St. Louis, and is currently in their PhD program, working on getting ready for his comprehensive exams. So we're so excited to have you guys with us tonight. Ben, I'll throw it over to you to start the interrogation.
Yeah.
Just no worries.
So we're gonna play good cop, bad cop. I'm the bad cop, so just be ready. So the spirit the spirit of tonight's conversation is a combination of studying for vocab and derivatives, and then also generally for Certamen, what we call the art of buzzing well. So just perspective you have on how you learned over time to be a better and better Certamen player. But we always love to start with just, how did you originally get introduced to the game? And then what in your mind kind of made that switch from, oh, this is interesting, to I want to spend tons of my free hours studying for this and preparing for it?
So I guess I'll stab at that first. That Certamen was introduced to me in 7th grade Latin, way back when in 2007, and it was just kind of like that thing that some Latin students did after school. And I didn't really have a thing that I was doing after school, and so my Latin teacher, the Honorable Billy D. Jackson, really wanted me to to go, and he was like, Henry, you should come because you're doing really well in Latin class. I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to play Certamen. That's what nerds do, right? And it's like, no, you got to come. And what really changed my mind and cemented it was our first tournament up in Tallahassee. It was not lost on me that we won that tournament, and we're like, oh, we're good at this. And so I spent every day since then doing Certamen stuff. Playing, studying, writing, moderating. I do it all now. We do Agon. I love it.
What about you, Aspen?
Greek Certamen.
Yeah.
For the audience.
Of course.
Yeah. So I got into Certamen. Well, I was introduced to it in 6th grade Latin by my Latin teacher. But I didn't really get into it until like 9th grade, probably, because I hated it at first. Actually couldn't stand it, like offered to moderate when we played it in class instead of playing with my classmates. I think it just made me super, super nervous because I didn't know the answers to any of the questions. It wasn't like stuff we were covering in class, so it wasn't helping with my confidence, let's just say. So I just didn't want to do it. And then one day in like 8th grade, I think it was, my Latin teacher put together a round, and it was on the culture section for the test that was the next day. So I had studied for it. I knew the material super well. And I ended up doing well because it was things that I knew. So I kind of discovered like, oh, maybe I can do this thing. I just have to figure out how to study for it. So I joined Certamen the next year, and I never looked back. But I think I stayed mostly because I met my best friends through Certamen, and just kind of wanted to hang out with them all the time. So,
yeah, I hope that maybe some teachers are listening to that story, because I think that is a really important lesson for us as we introduce kids to the game. Is make sure the questions are something that you're studying or something that's gettable to help build confidence, because I think that makes a huge difference in terms of motivation for study. Tell us, Aspen, what was your specialty when you started out? And if it wasn't language and vocabulary and derivatives, kind of what led you in that direction eventually?
So when I started out, my specialty was language, and that happened because I signed up to go to state forum. I think probably like 3 weeks before the forum started. So I kind of needed something that I already had a head start on. And we didn't do like a lot of history or mythology or anything in class, but I knew that I was a pretty good grammarian in class. And I knew the vocab and stuff like that. So it was something that I could kind of catch on to super quickly. Obviously, I didn't do it all in 3 weeks. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into language. So I played it throughout my whole Certamen career. Ultimately, my main subjects ended up being literature and history, though. So.
Yeah.
What about you, Henry?
So for the very first month of my Certamen career, I was not a language player. I was a myth player, like so many like first timer middle school Certamenites are. And we came to the conclusion that we had no language on the team, no dedicated language on the team. We had 2 mythologians, we had a historian, and the all too famous generalist role. And I subsumed language only because I was doing so well in class. I was like, okay, I'm doing this stuff already. I can do it pretty quickly. I know the answers, to Aspen's point about confidence. And then our second tournament ever was like in December of that fall of 7th grade. And so like ever since then, I've been a language person. Although I didn't pick derivatives up until like senior year, much to my Latin teacher's chagrin. I was like grammar and vocab, and our mythologian did derivatives.
Yeah, it's
So
funny
kind of
how
on
sometimes those things get split, depending
Yeah.
on interest and talent on the team. Yeah.
On my teams, we had like one person usually who was really good at like kind of grammar translation types of things. And then other people who did like the faster grammar, like verb flips and noun flips and stuff. And then they did like the vocab and the derivs. So,
Yeah, it's super interesting. We had someone on our team too, who was just crazy good and just dove deeper than anyone I've ever known. Jose Molina, I don't know if he'll ever see this, but if he does, shout out to Jose.
Love Jose.
But he's the kind of guy who knew not only where words came from, but also the discrepancies between sources and which sources were right and which sources were wrong. So it's interesting how people naturally gravitate to like certain parts of it. But anyway, curious for your take too, just specifically on the vocab and derivatives piece of it. For students that for one reason or another found themselves interested, what sources did you spend most of your time in, and then how did you most effectively digest or subsume those, as Henry put it, or any advice you would have for how to study for those categories?
Well, like starting out, the NJCL had a lot of good resources, like the BLV for just like a good standard vocabulary list. Aggregates a whole lot of textbook words, nouns, verbs that show up. So in case you are using the Oxford at your school, you now also learn the words that are in the Ecce Romani, or it gets a nice wide breadth early on. And as you kind of graduate from that, I ended up in the A&G for general grammar, but there are also great verb lists in there for all the principal parts, the irregularities. And I think that a lot of my vocabulary came from the A&G. And by the time that was happening, we were reading unadapted Latin. And so you read more Latin, you see more words, and you add them to your corpus. But I was never like a flashcards kind of person. I just kind of would stare at the list and internalize it. And I know that's not going to work for everybody, but that's what I did.
So on the contrary, I was a flashcards person. I used Quizlet and specifically Quizlet Learn mode to review a lot, because if you got it wrong, it made you study it again and again until you got it right, whether you liked it or not, which is the discipline that I needed. So that was really helpful for me. I also started with the basic Latin vocabulary. And then I also studied, I think this is kind of what Henry was saying, but there is this list that one of my Certamen coaches gave me, and it was like a lot of the vocabulary that was in the A and G. And then also there's this book called The Vocabulary of High School Latin. And so I made like Quizlets with all the words from that I didn't already know. And then in addition, all the stuff that I was just kind of picking up in Latin class when we were reading Latin and stuff. So
I would add on to that there came to be a living document by the end of my Certamen tenure that was just called differentiate. And it was all the words that kind of look or sound similar to one another. It's like 9 or 10 pages, like single spaced. And it's got, your high reos, how reos, it's got your bos, cos, mos, ros. And it's a great document. I don't think it's publicly available. It's not somewhere like easily findable. I'm happy to share it with whomever though. It's just like something, I think it was either Jose or his brother Gabe who started it. And then I took the mantle and kept it going for a little while. It's a good resource to have though, because it's a really fun NJCL question. It's like differentiate among these words that all sound the same, or this one has 2 G's, and like it because you've seen it in the list.
That's very cool. So for those people who are just getting started, the basic Latin vocab list that Aspen and Henry mentioned is available at njcl.org/Certamen. So you can find that there. And now Henry's volunteered this differentiate list, which I definitely want to get in on, Henry. Resource. So yeah, send it.
All completely free.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So when people ask me, I tell them my favorite Latin word is yam dudum, because of the way it sounds. But we want to, and Ben, I want you to join in on this too at the end. I want to know y'all's favorite Latin words. So who's ready for this one?
Ooh, I've got a ready answer, but I'm curious as to what Aspen says.
My favorite Latin word, I don't feel like it's that creative. So it's croceus, which means saffron, and it could also mean like yellow or golden, like the color. And I just like it because yellow is my favorite color. So it's not super creative. But
I can tell you it's very rare for people to know that word though, because it was on the AP exam a couple of years ago and I graded that translation, and that particular word was
you
not
have the raw data on that.
Yeah, it was not a pretty picture, but croceus is a great word. Okay, Henry, what's your ready answer?
My ready answer is igitur. I love igitur. It's post positive. It's so much better than the passe ergo. It means therefore. And you just igitur. It's got a nice little punch to it while you're saying the word. Gaudeamus igitur.
Yeah. 2-way tie for me. I'm cheating. I love words that are like compounds of other words. So one, I think it's caprimulgus. Henry, check me on that.
No, it is.
Which like it's literally goat milker. Is that right?
Yeah, yep. It's almost 22.
But it's like it means like a bumpkin, like a country bumpkin.
Yep.
Also like the word ululo. That was one that I learned fairly early on, but it's like just the alliteration of it means to howl. So
it means to ululate.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely. Yeah, I think those are my favorite too. Jenny, what are yours?
Well, I tell people yam dudum because I like the way it sounds, but it also is one of those Latin words that means like a million English words, like now already for a long time now or something like that. And I just like how verbose English is in comparison with Latin. But generally, I love words, so
it's hard to pick just
that
one.
that yeah, it really is. It really is.
Okay, my turn, right?
I think so.
So the next one on the list, I'm now looking at when we were pre-drafting these questions. It's a little strange, but I'll let you take it wherever you want. How would you describe yourself as a buzzer?
I would say like my buzzing style. I know that I had like a good sense of like when to react versus when to anticipate. So I felt like I achieved like a good balance of those, and I wasn't like super hasty. I was always very like calculated and exacting on like buzzing at the right place. So I guess that was like my buzzing style.
If I had to distill my buzzing style to a single word, I think I would pick aggressive, which is not to say brash. Like I wouldn't go in like too far ahead of the go word, but you learn in Florida Curtamen the go words and what sorts of questions are reactionary versus anticipatory. And uh, I feel like language as a whole and vocabulary and derivatives especially are not necessarily games of knowledge, they're games of speed. You get a myth question or a history question, you might know the really obscure fact that leads that question, and you just know more than your opponents, and you can get those 10 points. When it comes to language, most people have taken a Latin class when they're playing Curtamen. They probably know a lot of the words that are going to come up in the round. It's a game of speed at that point. You all know what the answer is supposed to be, so you have to get a little bit faster in there. You might buzz yourself out, but you have to be willing to make those plays in the right moments. It's strategic aggression.
Just to follow up on that, I'm curious, did you find like as you sort of, you were in harder and harder levels of Curtamen, were there ever, or how much did you see obscure words start to pop up that were maybe in that sort of extra mile of studying?
Those sorts of words I felt only came up in advanced. But that might just be because of how thoroughly I absorbed the novice and intermediate materials, because those are a much more defined syllabus of Latin. When you get to advanced, it's basically the Wild West. Like, it's like no Latin, no all the words, probably from from Virgil, probably from Caesar, but like nothing's off the table explicitly, unless it's like medieval Latin. But like most of them were in the wheelhouse. But yeah, there were a few extra mile words, as you put it, Ben. I like that.
Totally.
I'd love for you both to elaborate a little bit more on an anticipatory versus reactionary buzzes and questions. One of our hopes is to expand the game of Curtamen and to reach people who maybe haven't had as much coaching as you all got. So I'd love for you to talk about, and just to add in any other kind of general buzzing advice that you might have for students.
I can do that. Well, some Curtamen questions are very formulaic in how they're arranged. You get like the quid anglique significat. The next word is the one you're buzzing in on. So you have to look inside yourself and say, am I willing to buzz on the first syllable of this word? Like, is it going to be a compound word? Am I going to buzz on ob and like not know what the rest of the word is? And that's a case by case basis where you look at the teams you're playing. You're like, can I wait that extra like half syllable to really nail this answer? Or am I going to look really cool by buzzing on the first syllable and getting it? But like the general derivatives lead in is, what English word what Latin noun with what meaning lies at the ultimate root of the English, and you might want to buzz there because you're or not exact head in, but whether there's like an extra word or two in the lead in, that's a reactionary buzz where you're waiting for the actual information. I don't think we've ever standardized that lead in, and I don't think we should as question writers, because it rewards people who are playing smart Curtamen, not like machines.
So I think Henry just explained like reacting versus anticipatory in terms of language. You can also, with anticipatory things, it's not always necessarily that the question has like a specific formula to it. So for example, I played like a lot of history and literature, and there were some formulaic questions, but sometimes you could just tell by the wording of the question that like a date was going to come up next, or it was going to be a place name or something like that. And so if you are in a semifinals round against a really, really fast team, you're wanting to anticipate that place name or something might be coming up and get in on the first syllable, maybe, so that you're the fastest one in. With that said, you have to be careful about the anticipating, because there's always some risk involved. And so I would say, like, if you don't need to anticipate, I would just react as quickly as you can if you're not trying to leave any points on the table at all. And then at the end of the day, like Kurtomen is a game of points. So I would just say like do whatever in that moment will get you the most points. And then general buzzing tip is you have to have like the biggest tip to buzzing fast is having great depth of knowledge. Because if you're going to be in on that first clue, you also have to know the first clue to get it right. So, and it'll give you the confidence to go in like super quickly. So yeah, I would say depth of knowledge is super key there.
I would also add on to that to be confident in your ability to know answers, and also be confident in your ability to not know answers. Don't get sucked in on someone who's like trying to aggressively pull you into a question, because they might not know the answer, but they know that you'll follow them and you'll also drop those points. So from like the first team perspective, yeah, it's great. If you know the answer, you go and you get it. If you are the second team in, or the third team on like a cleanup read of the question, take your time. Like get all the information, know things, then buzz.
Would you say, and this can be a lead into the next question too, but would you say that part of the art of buzzing for you is understanding the universe of possibilities for what a question could be, rapidly narrowing to smaller subsets? So I'll use an example that may apply in vocab. Distinguishing meaning between, Henry, you brought this up earlier, like hiereo, and you know that the word is probably going to sound like hiereo. How do you manage that? Like in that particular question, let me ask, like how many syllables?
Exact question, I'm buzzing on hiereo and I'm saying to stick and to drain respectively. That's always that pair. But in that format of question, I'm waiting for the first word, and while they're saying the word "and," I'm rapidly thinking, what letters can I replace in that word to make another Latin word? Like, or like if it's
would
two
you describe
letters,
that? Yeah, would you describe that as aggressive?
I would describe it as aggressive because what's happening during that "and," no one else is buzzing on that "and," probably. So you're trying to get in at the very first letter coming out, and back in the before times with in-person Kurtomen, you could read the lips of the moderator for very minutial things, like between like Kos and Moss. You see the M on their lips, like, all right, it's Moss, it's not Bos, it's not Wos. You're going to go in before the sound even comes out. I got accused once during 2013, my final year of Kurtomen. I got accused of being psychic because of some of the buzzes I was making, and I took that as the biggest compliment in my whole career. I was like, I did it. I've made Florida proud. I can retire in glory.
But in reality, you were just becoming an expert lip reader the whole time.
All right.
Yeah. You read the lips, you read the room, with that specifically, it was like what round you're in, like what are the types of things that come up in prelims versus semis, like what's the most likely answer.
Thank you. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, shall we let our students in? Is it time? Are we good?
Let them.
I think so. Aspen, did you have anything to add on the last one?
What was the question again? I kind of lost track as Henry was explaining.
Oh, no worries. Just like understanding, like in your mind as you hear a question real time, like, would you like to buzz to the point of reacting versus anticipating? Do you like to buzz when you know your answer is N of one, like it can only be one possible thing at the end of the day? Or how do you think about taking a risk where it could be one of two or three?
I think that depends, because I would sometimes buzz if I had like three different options. For example, in prelims, it's usually not going to be like a super difficult, obscure question. So if I have three options and two of them are super difficult and obscure, I'm going to go in when it's, N is three. Versus semis and finals, the same logic goes. It's probably not going to be the one that's super easy and generic. So I think that you can kind of use that kind of logic to help you figure out even earlier what the answer might be.
Are you willing to take those 50-50s in your round?
Yeah, depending on who you're playing, right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, welcome, Discipuli. We're so excited to have you here with us tonight to join the conversation. We'll go ahead and let you all introduce each other, share your name, your school, what grade you're in, what level of Latin you're in, and anything you might want to share about your study of Curtoman sources or your buzzing philosophy, any of those things. We'd love to hear from you.
Hi, I'm Anand. I'm a junior in AP Latin from Thomas Jefferson High School in Virginia. And in terms of Curtoman, I know you all were just talking about buzzing, but in terms of studying vocab and derivatives, which is the other topic, I would suggest that unless you're like cramming for an exam or Curtoman the next day, I would rather read a lot of Latin, real Latin, for learning vocab in context as much more helpful than studying flashcards or Quizlets. Although I don't know if that's your style, then that works too. The other thing I might have been willing to say is in terms of derivatives, instead of just memorizing pairs of like this English word comes from this Latin word and like pairs, it's helpful for me to learn like the story of each word, because interesting stories are much easier to remember than like pairs that look very different. So
go ahead, Ben.
I was going to say, like, so stories of words meaning like this word comes through French to English, or do you mean something else?
Yeah, so like the sense of a word. Okay, so like just for an example, the first word that comes to mind is like serendipity. I know it's not from Latin, but it has a very interesting story where it like comes from this the three princes of Serendip, which is the Arabic word for the Sri Lanka. So if I were trying to remember that serendipity comes from the word Sri Lanka, then that would be hard to remember because they look different. But if I remember the story of the word, then it's like an interesting story, is easy to remember.
That's super cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that totally makes sense with how our brains work, that we remember stories better than just individual facts. So I love the idea of turning it into a story. That's great. Welcome, Mark. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Mark. I go to Boston Latin School. I'm in 8th grade and in Latin 1. And I would say my best advice for studying vocab, but really in general, is like if you come across something unfamiliar, like a word or like a fact, because I mainly do history, but I also do language, just kind of like add it to your sets or like flashcards or whatever you're using to study. Because like I've gotten like kind of stressed sometimes about like, oh, if I start studying this, I might not be studying everything I need to know of this certain subject, but then that kind of prevents you from learning anything new. So, yeah.
So Mark, tell us, did you study, did you start as history player and add language as Henry described, or did you start as language and add something else as Aspen described?
I started as history, and then kind of since I started as a 7th grader, but there were only like a few 7th graders at like last year, I kind of just added language, but I don't do derivatives at all. I like really don't like derivatives for some reason. Like I know a lot of people like them because it's English more, but yeah, I just don't like them.
Mark's a student after my own heart.
Yeah, it's funny how many times I've had a student who really loved language and vocabulary, but wanted someone else to do the derivatives. On one team, I had my myth person doing just because my language person was so opposed, anti-derivatives.
I had to be bribed to learn derivatives, so
I got
sometimes that
derivatives.
works.
Does that violate Curtoman League rules? Are we allowed to make payments like that, or?
What was the bribe, Aspen?
You don't have to answer
my
that.
serving of peanut butter for the day.
Okay. I was going to say, if it's food related, a food related bribe is probably fine in Curtoman. So no worries, no violation.
$25 in value.
Right? Exactly. And you can show your receipts, of course.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and for our audience and also for our own benefit, we're going to do some buzzing on some toss-up questions. So Mark and Anand, I am sure you guys know how to use the chat to register a buzz of some sort. But I'm going to go ahead and ask you some questions. And then our former players, Ben, Aspen, Henry, I'll invite you all if you would like to register a buzz. I probably won't let you answer until our players have had a chance. But then we might debrief on some of these questions about where we buzzed and why we buzzed and, you know, all of those great things that are so fun to talk about in Certamen. So we'll start with toss-up number 1 for any player. Toss-up number 1. What is the meaning of the Latin verb duello? All right, so I have Aspen first, but then Anand.
Is duello to pluck away?
Yeah, to tear, to pluck away, to alienate, to estrange, something like that. So yeah, I think that's one of those formulaic questions where you just get ready to buzz and then you hit the buzz. All right, let's try toss-up 2 for any player. Sorry, let me start over. Toss-up 2. What is the meaning of the Latin adjective magnus? I see Henry, Ben, and then Mark. Mark, you want to tell us?
Like great.
Yeah, magnus means great, big, large. All right, let's try toss-up 3 for any player. Give an antonym of the adjective in-gains. Henry, then Anand.
Parvus?
Yeah, in-gains huge, parvus small. That totally works. All right, let's try another toss-up for everybody. From what Latin word with what meaning do we derive count? Ben, Henry, Mark. Mark, you want to take it?
Okay, I'm gonna guess like numero.
Oh, that's a good guess. That's a good guess. It's not from numero, but that is a really good guess. Anand.
Oh, I always forget this derivative. Shoot, is it from Capio? I don't know.
Okay, Ben, Henry, anybody know this one? This one's a hard one.
It's Puto.
It is from Puto.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is one of those.
Isn't
Say-
that's the noun, right?
Yeah, the noun count comes from AO.
AO, yes.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly, like compute and
like compute. It's from the compound computo. This is one of the ones where like I have to learn the story of the word and how it came to us. All right, let's try another one. Toss up 5 for any player. Which of the following does not belong because of gender? Gains, genu, genus. Ben, I should have called on you when you buzzed on the first word.
I was trying to give an example of a bad buzz.
Okay, I was like I should have just made him answer, but I didn't. Anand.
Gains?
Yes, that's why I didn't make you answer, Ben, because it was actually the first one.
I think I really appreciate that. You didn't want me to embarrass myself like that.
Sometimes bad buzzes get points though.
Sometimes bad buzzes get points. Totally happens. Absolutely.
I've got my fair share of points that way.
Haven't we all? All right, let's try another one. Toss up. What is the meaning of the Latin adjective mendax? Mark.
Like lying.
Yeah, excellent. Lying is absolutely right. All right, toss up. From what Latin verb with what meaning do we derive duty? So we've got Aspen, then Henry, then Mark.
Okay. Let's say sedeo, to remain. No, to sit.
Anand.
Oh, geez, I guess we're all bad at derivatives. Ago? I don't know.
That's a good guess. Okay, Aspen, Henry, do y'all know?
Well, Aspen buzzed before me.
I like how you're being a gentleman here.
Is it Duco to lead?
Good guess.
Pretty sure
Henry,
it's
do you know?
Debao.
It is Debao. It is Debao. Nicely
Because a
done.
duty is
Nicely
something
done.
that you ought to do.
Uh-huh.
So
A
it's
duty is
Debao.
something you ought to do. Yeah, I think we're all learning that derivatives might be the weakness of this group, but that's okay. It's an area for growth.
I picked up
Amiki.
derivatives. Don't speak for everybody here.
Yeah, no, Henry. I think I think if we had a derivatives off, you would absolutely win.
Thank you.
All right, let's try another one. Toss up. From what Latin noun with what meaning do we derive antler? Anand.
Oculus.
Oculus, yeah, because they're ante oculos. Yeah, they're in front of your eyes, antlers. Nicely done. That's one of those word stories that I tell myself to remember where these things are from. All right, toss up. Which of the following English words, if any, does not derive from the same Latin root? Audible, audacious, audit, Mark.
Audacious.
Yeah, that was a great buzz, Mark.
Fantastic.
Yeah, really good, really good. So I always tell my students on those that, once they hear two that are not alike, it's time to buzz. Time to buzz. And of course, audio to hear has probably a lot more derivatives. So even if you were just guessing, but you had already heard audit, right? So you were in good shape on that one. All right, well, I'm going to turn things over to Ben now to read some sets, and we're going to let you guys collaborate together on the bonus questions, and you can either of you is welcome to answer after you collaborate.
So yeah, how should we play this? Should everyone should we have two teams, or just everyone kind of work together in the Bony?
Yeah, I think everybody can just work together on the Bony, and they can even phone Aspen and Henry if they need help. I bet Aspen and Henry will help out.
Sounds good. Okay. Toss up number 1. Differentiate in meaning between porta and portus. I have Henry first, but not Henry. Mark.
Okay, so porta is gate and portus is okay. I don't know. Pork.
I'm sorry, it's incorrect, and I should have said portus, not portus. That's my fault. But Anand.
Yeah, I think porta is gate and portus is harbor.
Yes, that's correct. Gate and harbor, respectively. So everyone working together. Bonus number 1: differentiate in meaning between yakio and yakeo.
Mark, do you know this?
Yeah, like to throw and lie down, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
To throw and to lie down, respectively. Okay.
Nailed it. Bonus number 2: differentiate in meaning between mors and mora.
Is mora like a delay or no? I don't really know mora. I know mora.
Wow. I'm surprised. Latin 1, I did not know mora, but yeah. So mors is death and mora is delay. Final answer.
Perfect. Trying to think, what's another word that might be thrown in that mix, Henry? What's mulberry? Morula?
Morus.
Morus. Got it. Cool. All right, if we're ready for toss number 2, we good? Awesome. Toss number 2. Which of the following words, if any, does not derive from the same root as the others? Furtive, ferret, farrier, Aspen.
Am I supposed to answer, or are we going to?
I'm going to let you see buzzed on the third word. I'm curious.
I'm going to go farrier on that.
Farrier is correct. The full list, so good buzz. The full list was furtive, ferret, farrier, and furuncle. Furuncle.
You can't stop the kids from saying furuncle these days. It's such a common word.
Exactly. Who doesn't love that word?
So for anyone and everyone, from what Latin noun with what meaning does farrier derive?
What Latin noun? Oh,
Mhm.
that kind of farrier. So this would be like far, meaning grain or something.
Sure.
I'm not sure.
So I'm
I
sorry,
think
it's incorrect. It's ferrum, meaning iron.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, farrier is like a blacksmith, basically. Yeah.
That was a good guess, though.
The two
especially
R's
with the
in
way it's written.
barrier
Yeah.
throws it away from being far, because that's one.
Yeah.
So good news is that's one of two bony. Here's the second one. From what Latin noun with what meaning do the other words derive?
Can you like repeat or paste them?
Yeah, totally.
I can grab them. I got it.
Cool. It was furtive, ferret, farrier, and furuncle. I actually have a pronunciation guide here, and I think it's furuncle. Henry, you seem to back me up on that. But I have furuncle. It's a funny word.
Funny word.
What do you guys think?
I would guess this is from for beef.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Like furtive and furuncle.
Perfect. What is a furuncle? And,
it is a boil. It's like a
Oh.
lesion or a boil.
It's a little thief.
It's a little thief. Obviously.
Yeah, it's the diminutive of fur.
Uh-huh.
So it's a little thief
Not-
of your body.
Yeah. Not to put him on the spot, but Anna, do you know the story behind that word?
Oh no, I wish I did.
Or maybe not, now that you know it's a boil. All right,
Yeah.
you all,
Well,
we have another student joining us. I'm gonna admit them from the waiting room. Greetings and welcome. Welcome to Certamen Tonight. Would you like to join in playing with us? You can introduce yourself, tell us what school you're from, your grade, your level of Latin. Hello.
Should I introduce myself?
Yeah, please go right ahead.
My name is Anvesha Guru. I'm from Brookfield Academy in Wisconsin. I'm currently in Latin 2. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. You've caught us in time for last few toss-up questions, which you're welcome to join in on buzzing. We've been talking about where and how to buzz. And then we've got a Kahoot for everybody to join in on at the very end, which you guys who are in the Zoom are welcome to take part in too.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And yeah, we're hanging out and having fun. So feel free to buzz in on these whenever you want to. Toss-up number 3, hopping right back in. What general meaning is shared by the words aistos, hiem, mark?
Like a season? I don't know if I can.
Yeah, seasons. And Henry, kudos. Yeah, you were technically the first buzzer, but I gave the nod to Mark since y'all were like 1A, 1B. Yeah, great buzz. So yeah, aistos, hiems, where, and autumnus. Bonus number 1, what general meaning is shared by the words locus, omnis, pontus, and mare?
Such a C, right?
Yeah, I think this is going for a general body of water. So
Yeah, because omnis is like spring and stuff, right? I guess we could just say water. I don't know.
A body of water, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Sure, that's perfect. Yeah, they're all sort of different bodies of water. And bonus number 2, what general meaning is shared by the words Jupiter, Mercurius, Tellus, Sol, and Luna?
Like planet? Is that what they're going for? Or
Yeah, planet, astronomical object.
oh yeah.
Perfect. I have my my chat windows kind of blocking part of the Zoom screen, so I can't see the sort of final answer indication. But yeah, exactly. But I liked, what'd you say, astrological objects?
astronaut, because Sol and Luna, I guess, aren't planets, but
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
the
exactly
celestial
right.
bodies.
Yeah.
That's more of a broad umbrella.
We would have also accepted heavenly bodies if you're keeping track of various possibilities of that. But yeah, exactly the right category for those.
Stuff in the sky.
Exactly. Cool. So toss it number 4 for any player. What is the meaning of the Latin word at the root of enchant? Oop. I have, let's say, Mark.
Like song.
Song is correct.
Did you say ultimate root?
No, Latin word, so I'll take it.
Yeah.
Good call. So ultimately, kano, to sing. So the verb form.
Can I make a kind of dissection point here? I don't want to put Aspen under the blast, but I did notice your buzz on the word at the root. It was a bit of an anticipatory buzz that came out a little too quickly on that derivatives lead in, and that's the gamble you take. If you were to give an answer at the root of, what would you have said? I'm curious.
Yeah, that's one of those situations where the anticipatory buzzing kind of comes to backfire on you. Because it started out, what is the meaning of the Latin word? And I thought a word was coming next. But this is one of those cases where that didn't really happen. And so I got lucky with the Zoom lag that then kept going. But that usually doesn't happen either. So
I was thinking it's super funny. Yeah, I thought it was funny that Aspen was self-described as the calculator and Henry was the aggressive one, and now Henry's calling out Aspen for the aggression.
Yeah.
Hey, I know when it's wrong. I've been burned too many times.
Hey, it was still a calculated buzz. It just, the question didn't really turn out as.
It was a calculated risk, but man, was the math wrong there.
Cool. So we can go and do the bony. Maybe I'm trying to think. We're probably running on time after that, right?
Yeah, probably this one, and then you can choose to do one more or not. We can go straight to the Kahoot, whatever you want.
Let's do one really quickly. We'll do another one real quickly. But bonus number 1, what is the meaning of the Latin word at the root of deciduous?
And Vesha, all the students are joining in the bonus question, so you're welcome to join in that conversation too.
Mark or Vesha, do you know this?
I think it could be like sede or cado, but I don't really know.
No.
My guess would be cado because like the leaves fall down.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I've heard. Yeah. Okay.
So to fall, final answer.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good job. And yeah. Bonus number 2, what is the meaning of the Latin word at the root of retina?
Oh, is this the diminutive of retis, meaning net? So like it catches the light?
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. I was just thinking 10AO because like you hold it, but I think that's probably
wait,
better.
that might be right. I'm not sure.
Oh, I don't know, just because it was verbs, so I'm not sure if they're going for like another
I thought
verb.
it was Latin word.
Yeah, just because the last two were, but I mean, you go with whatever you want. Like,
I think maybe 10-0 would make more sense. Like with the I.
Sure. So to hold, final answer.
Unfortunately, it's net in this case,
Okay.
but totally understand the logic.
The nominative of which is rete, not ratus.
Oh, okay.
Guess I got to correct that vocab too.
Yeah. So Ben, I'm going to change my mind and say we should probably stop there and do the Kahoot.
Done.
Just because of time, but good job, everybody, kind of giving us great examples of how to anticipate on these kind of formulaic questions. That was great. So everyone at home, everybody in the Zoom is welcome to join in on the Kahoot that we are about to play right now. Just a reminder that the top 3 scoring JCLers, SCLers, sponsors should go ahead and send us a screenshot if they place in the top 3, and we will send you some JCL swag in return. So go ahead and head to kahoot.it and enter the game pin trace octo duo nihil septem noem duo, and we'll go ahead and get everybody into the Kahoot and then see how we do on these language and derivatives questions. We'll have to see if the people who are playing from outside the Zoom are better at derivatives than maybe even Henry Schott. I don't know. Is that possible?
Probably, but I'm gonna wear my laurels while I'm in the Zoom room.
All right, so just a reminder that if we get this Kahoot started, you can always join in late at kahoot.it with that game pin, trace octo duo, nihil septem noem duo. All right, I think we're gonna go ahead and get started as Great Wallaby enters. All right, let's see how we do on the March Certamen Tonight Kahoot. All right. Our first question of 9 tonight. From what Latin verb with what meaning do we derive obedient? And actually, if you were listening in on one of the questions, then you might know this because it was in one of the questions we just did. Is it obeo, go to meet, audeo, dare, audito, hear, or alfero, carry off? All right. We're gonna give everybody a couple more seconds to get their answers in. And so obedient comes from audeo, to hear. It was definitely tempting to pick obey, which looks a lot more like it, but this one comes from audeo, hear. All right, social chicken on top right now. Let's go to question 2. Which Latin word describes the following items? Caipa, brassica, radix, and carota. So what's the group of these words? And kind of like that group question before, except this time the answers are in Latin. So are these nuces, bestiae, cholera, or saepta? Give everybody a few more seconds, and I'll just give you some clues if you haven't picked yet. Saepta are enclosures, nuces are nuts. Oh, good job. Most people knew that it was cholera. They're vegetables. Oh, social chicken still on top. From what Latin word with what meaning is coronary derived? Is it from cauda, tail, cor, heart, corona, crown, or conor, I try? Lots of good options here on this one. Oh, nice. Most people knew that it was from corona, crown, because the coronary artery kind of makes a crown around your heart. It doesn't come from
mean
core.
Putting a picture of a heart there.
Truly, truly. All right, Fearless Eagle, though. They got it. They got it. All right, so now we're going to some vocab, differentiating meaning between wello and wello. We had did wello earlier, so that might be a clue. So does wello mean cover and wello with 2 L's mean pull? Or does wello mean wish and wello with 2 L's mean pull? Or does wello mean cover and wello with 2 L's mean tear? Or does wello mean wish and wello with 2 L's mean tear? Lots of good options here. So yeah, wello means cover. It's not wolo wish. And then wello, like did wello, means to tear, to rip, something like that. All right, Arctic Owl moving up. So from what Latin word with what meaning do we derive audacious? Is it from audeo, I hear? Abeo, I go away. Algeo, I increase. Or audeo, I dare. Oh, good job. We had that one earlier. Audeo gives us audacious. All right, Arctic Owl is still on top. To what Latin word with what meaning is mora closely related? So if you were listening earlier, we had some very impressive knowledge about what mora means. So what other Latin word is this noun mora related to? Good. Mora means a delay. It's related to the verb moror, meaning to delay. All right. The Latin word for iron gives us what chemical symbol? We were talking about a blacksmith earlier, an English word for blacksmith that's related to this one. Oh, nice. Everybody knows ferrum, iron. Okay, Arctic Owl still on top. Which word is not a synonym of mare? So we had a question about bodies of water earlier. Is the non-synonym pelagus, pontus, ichor, or omnis? Nice. I think our students knew that omnis was more of a river or a spring. And so we will move to our last question. Which of the following is one way to render internet in Latin? I think Henry gave us some important knowledge to help us maybe answer this question. If you were listening just a little bit ago, is it birotula, interrete, instrumentum computatorium, or autokinatum? Which of these is a way that internet gets rendered in Latin? Good. It uses that word rete, that word for net. We were just talking. Okay, moment of truth. If you are on the podium, don't forget, take a screenshot, send it to kurtamen@njcl.org, and we will get your swag to you. So we have Social Chicken moving back up onto the podium in third, Fearless Eagle in second, and last but not least, Arctic Owl staying on top. Gratulaciones omnibus. That's our show for this month. We'll see you again in April. On April 8th, we'll be coming back with a non-language topic next time. We're going to move into some other things like mythology and history. So we'll look forward to seeing everybody then. Valete omnes.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you for having us.